welcome to this videocast and podcast for subscribers to davidicke.com. Well, I'm just about to start a world tour. Starts on the Isle of Wight with a warm-up event this weekend. And it seems such a long way from when I started out. I'm going to be speaking at the Brixton Academy in London on June the 18th. And then I'm heading out to Australia and doing 5 cities in Australia and New Zealand across July and August. Then into America in September to New York, Los Angeles and San Francisco, and then all over Europe, continuing into 2017. And like I say, when I look back, it would have been extraordinary to think what's happening today when what was happening then. The first time I went round Australia, when would it be? It'd be in the 1990s, and it was in the back of a small car. Started out in the rainforest north of Brisbane, and then drove down, or was driven down. Well, I sat in this little car at the back, going from evening event to evening event, trying to get information circulating that not many were interested in then, to say the least. But it's amazing what you can do if you keep going and won't give up. I went to speak in America in 1996 for the first time about this information, and it would have been cheaper and less trouble if I'd have basically rung the people who came. I spoke not far from Chicago one night to 8 people. I spoke in people's front rooms to like 3 or 4 in places like New England. And it was like, why am I bothering? What's the point? But something drove me on. Something beyond words was saying, keep going. It's going somewhere. And then I would speak in Britain. And many times I would go to a village hall or a little town hall version of it and put the chairs out. Virtually no one would come. I would then speak to the virtually no one and then put the chairs back and leave poorer than when I arrived. And people were saying, he's only doing it for the money. It's extraordinary. But it's, like I say, amazing what you can do if you keep putting one foot in front of the other and don't give up because it's too hard. And one of the things, or one of the reasons that people were saying he's only doing it for the money was because they thought there had to be a catch. Why would this guy put himself through mass ridicule month after month, year after year, and go out then talking to no one? Apparently I lived in a mansion, but I live in a 1-bedroom flat. So once people realized that, it was like, well, he lives in a 1-bedroom flat, so there's got to be a catch. There's got to be a catch. And the catch had to be, or the reason had to be, one was a catch, was that I was doing it for the money. No. Or I'm just bloody insane. And that's why I'm doing it. No. It's amazing how people judge others, not by others, but by themselves. So what they were saying was, I wouldn't do what he's doing unless there was a catch, so he can't be. Well, I'll tell you what it was. First of all, there was this beyond words, like I say, drive that was just pushing me on. And the other thing was, and still is, that when you uncover what is not just happening now and what's behind it, but where it's planned to go, then there is no walking away. There is no, it's too hard, the kitchen's too hot. Actually, this room's too hot today. Left the heating on. But there is no walking away. Because how could you, and then live any kind of peaceful, inner peaceful life, knowing what was unfolding in front of your eyes and where it was designed to go? When you see the young people and you see the kids, not even just those, virtually everyone alive today is, who has any years left, is going to see this get worse and worse and worse unless we address it and head it off, which is the whole point of what I do. So I do it, and I've done it through all these years, decades now, because I want to alert people to what's going on so we can stop it. And that is what has driven me on. To the point where suddenly, in more recent times, the bubble has burst, the waters have burst, if you like, and suddenly more and more people, not least by looking at world events, have opened their minds and are doing so in gathering numbers, are opening their minds to, well, maybe the world's not like I thought it was. Maybe this fella does have something to say. Because what he was saying in the 1990s and writing in the books in the 1990s is now being read on the television news in changes in society. So what's going on? And that's what's kind of brought about this change to the point where I'm going on this world tour. And I'm speaking in Bucharest, in Romania, where I've never been before. Never been in Romania before. And the talk is in November. And already nearly 2,000 seats are taken. So something is going on in terms of human awakening. I kind of started to see the change, because all the way through the 90s, it was like basically non-stop ridicule, dismissal. And then I came out with a book in the mid-1990s called And the Truth Shall Set You Free. That kind of started to change things. And then there was a book at the end of the 90s, 1998, called The Biggest Secret, which exposed the Westminster paedophile ring, for instance, and the Satanism that goes on among the rich and famous, among many other things. And that pushed it on a bit more. But then came 9/11 in 2001. And after that, because although most people bought the official story, which was given to us by those that told us there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, although most people did, although at first the great majority did, a significant number didn't. It didn't add up to them. And later, as more people started to look at the contradictions and the anomalies, they also started to say, well, hold on, maybe it's not true. And it's a process that I see with people, which is if they see one major area, subject, event has been sold to them through a lie, then the next question is, well, what else am I being lied about? What else are they telling me that's not true? And then the whole vista and panorama of this interconnected conspiracy for human enslavement unfolds before them. And that is one major reason why I saw another expansion of interest in what I do and what the alternative media does. After the weapons of mass destruction to justify the invasion of Iraq turned out to be a monumental lie. Actually, I was writing in a book called Tales from the Time Loop in 2003 that it was a complete lie and was just an excuse to invade a country that they'd long planned to invade. And that's come out since, and will do so even more when the Chilcot report on all that comes out pretty soon. So gradually I saw this change taking place, and today it's dreamland for me. I used to walk down the street, even on the Isle of Wight in the early days, and people would be sniggering, pointing, laughing, and just going about my daily life was wherever I went was done to the sound of sniggering and pointing and all that stuff, because I was believed to be a crazy man. And because you keep going, and because what you said, crucially, this is the point, because what you've said and are saying has validity, it will eventually be shown to be so. If what you're saying is a load of rubbish, it will never be shown to be so. But as the years have unfolded, as world events have unfolded, in line with what was in my earlier books, there is this change taking place, and what has taken place. And now, when I walk down the street or go and watch my son Jamie playing cricket or whatever, people are coming up to me not to laugh, but to discuss what's going on in the world in a serious way. And like I say, it's dreamland for me now compared with what it used to be, because so many more people are open to what's going on. And interestingly, when I started out in 1990, I met a psychic, Betty Shine, right at the start of it, who said I was going to go out on a world stage. And met one or two other psychics at that time as I was trying to make sense of what was going on. And apart from Betty Shine, there weren't people I actually went to see. There were people who just kind of synchronistically came into my life. And there was a series of common themes that I was going to go out on a world stage and reveal great secrets. That was one of them. But another was that there was an energetic change coming, which was going to have the effect of waking up humanity from its slumber, from its coma, so that people would start looking at things they would have basically dismissed without question before. And I gave the name to this energetic change at the time, Truth Vibrations. It was the first book. Let me get that light. There you go. Truth Vibrations came out in 1991, and it was about what was happening to me in those early days. Not that I bloody knew what's going on in my life, but it was called Truth Vibrations because what I was told about this energetic change was that it was going to have the effect of bringing to the surface all that had been hidden. And when you think that when I wrote this book in 1990, came out in 91, there was no sign whatsoever that all that had been hidden was going to come to the surface, that people were going to start to awaken to a totally different perception of reality, life, self, world events. But when I look at the world now, and I do it from my own experience of the work that I do and the reaction to it, the change has been extraordinary. And we've reached the point now, not just in the numbers that are looking at the world in a different way, with a much more open sense of possibility, but the kind of people. These are people in the system who up to this point have been like, ooh, the system, and never been able to see beyond it. And suddenly they're going, whoa, crikey, this makes more sense than that. And when I wrote this all those years ago, this would have been just amazing to think that this was going to start to happen. And we've seen nothing yet. By the way, do you think I've changed much? Nah, still the same. So what I've also seen through this period is this emergence, fantastic, of a whole alternative media. Not that I agree with all of it, as they will not agree with all of me, but it's there. It's giving the opportunity to circulate information that the mainstream media will not communicate. And when I started out, there was virtually no one. I mean, you had to somehow make your own sources of communication. That's why I went off to Australia in the back of a car. That's why I went around America talking to 8 people near Chicago. Because that was all you could do in those days, basically, to get information out. Now, because of the expansion of the internet, and although they're trying to shut the alternative media down as best they can, and through the alternative media, this information is circulating like never before. And it's reached the point where we can look to go to the next stage, which is making so many people aware of the world as it is, as opposed to what we're told it is, that starts to impact upon world events and what this cabal can do and can't do. Because, like I said, that's the whole point of what I do. When people say to me, well, you wrote this in 1990 odd, and look, it's happening, that doesn't give me, funnily enough, any satisfaction. The whole point is not to be prove right about things happening. It's to alert enough people to create an intervention that stops it happening. That's the whole point. And if people now will move from observing what's going on and reading and concluding what's going on from that to actually intervening in it through ways I'll talk about on the world tour, then we can stop this happening. We must move from knowing nothing about what's going on to observing in some knowledge to see what's going on, to actually impacting upon what's going on, so it stops going on. And so I'm doing these events all over the world, and they're all-day events. They're from 10 o'clock in the morning I start talking, and I'll finish at 10 o'clock at night. There are breaks, of course. But the reason I talk for so long, and there's about 1,600 images and other illustrations, is because I am connecting dots across a vast range of apparently unconnected subjects and happenings to show that actually it's all connected and can be put together very simply, step by step by step, to put what is happening into, and this is the word, context. We must have context for events, happenings. Otherwise, we cannot possibly understand them in terms of their true reason for happening and what they're there to achieve. So I've spent months putting this presentation together and getting the images right, getting the order right. And I ad-lib the actual words because after 26 years, you've downloaded so much information that you can do that. But the images are crucial to add to the words, and also the order keeps me on the right step by step, A to B to C to D, unfolding stories, so it's easiest to see and follow for people who may be coming across it for the first time. I hope they are, because that's the point, to get more and more people in front of this information who've not seen it before. And I know from my experience over the years that when you do that, people are never the same again in terms of the way they see themselves and their own power to impact upon their own lives and the world, and never the same again in terms of the way they watch the television news or read the newspapers or hear what politicians are saying, because suddenly they can see what they're really saying and what they're really writing and why, as opposed to what it appeared to be in isolation before. So I'm looking forward to this tour more than any I've ever done, and I hope, trust that by the time we get into 2017, there's going to be a greatly increased number of people who are seeing the world in a different way and having it enhance their lives because of that. And it will be interesting to see how many come around the world, because that's a kind of barometer on, in a way, on where people are. Like my whole, life in the last 26 years has been a barometer, from no interest at all to massive interest. That shows that humanity is waking up from the program, from the coma. Just as I was told it would happen. But we've got to kick on from here, because really we've only just started, and there's a lot more work to do. And I tell you what, I'm at the front of the queue, because after seeing where it was to seeing where it is, we are making progress and we are making a difference. And to those who are behind this global manipulation, you ain't seen nothing yet.